All right, so Mikey Fell at Fatman Falling says, I'm pretty sure MauLer and CinemaSins are two halves of the same being. And when they split, CinemaSins got all the charisma and integrity and understanding of media analysis and argumentation. Yes, okay.
Okay.
It's weird how these people snipe on Twitter, but they never explain why you're wrong.
Oh, they love sniping at me.
They never explain why you're wrong.
I'm sorry, I laughed so hard at that I pulled my headphone cord out. Was anything good said then?
That's crazy.
The implications that CinemaSins have charisma and
media.
integrity alone is pretty funny.
Integrity?
Watch my, hang on. Watch my, I have a 2-hour series, which is going to be finished soon, talking about how, like, literally, I think it's about 70% of the stuff they say is objectively wrong. So,
How could you say that?
Yeah, but
no.
that's not analysis.
Wrong, J.
Like-
Bad.
Objectively false statements, 70% of content. Charisma, that's subjective, but also no.
What does this integrity come from?
Hang on.
I'm surprised
What
he's going to make a comment about my integrity. I'd be curious.
Where have you shown lacking integrity?
I don't know.
You said the dreaded F word.
Well, then in
Bagoops?
later ones, he calls his he calls his writing like shallow, trite, and dishonest.
Dun dun. Oh yeah, I was going to say it goes
Shallow?
on. Do you want to read the?
Your writing is shallow?
Do you want to check out the rest
That's what
of
he
it?
says. Yeah, there's more down there.
Oh. I don't know why both halves of this hypothetical being got into film criticism, but hopefully you don't think I literally believe the exact diction I used physically happened, and instead come away understanding my intention was to say his writing is shallow, trite, and dishonest. Well, that's
So
weird. That's weird because he clearly says that he's saying here that you don't have charisma, integrity, and understanding of media analysis or argumentation.
Mhm.
And then he's like, oh, but I don't mean it.
Well, no, so I think what he's saying is you're not supposed to actually believe that I was split apart from CinemaSins in some kind of disastrous scientific experiment. Like, that's what he's saying. Like, I don't literally believe that. And instead,
that's
come
not
away
even the part that I referenced at all, which kind of goes to support the idea that he's being, I don't know, like,
because he said
he's purposely
physically
missing
happened.
the idea.
Yeah.
Can a mod sort out the spam in the chat, please?
What?
Raid me.
Oh, from that one
All
guy.
right. Yeah.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
if he doesn't go
I just
away,
hit him.
Metal will
He's
kill
good.
him.
I just hit him on the channel.
Oh, there you
It's
go.
fine.
Rags can hit him too. I forgot you guys have the wrenches.
So
Excellent.
he goes on and says, let's see, his videos are seemingly so long, okay, because they can't stand up to people who understand what he's saying.
What?
That I'm gonna have to pause.
What did that sound? What did that sentence mean?
His
I
videos
can't.
are seemingly so long because they can't stand up to people who understand what he's saying. So I guess what he's trying to say is that you're literally trying to use length in order to drown out people who don't agree with you.
He's trying. No, he's trying to drown. He says he's trying to drown out people who
Actually
know what
understand him.
I mean,
Yeah.
is it so crazy to believe that they're as long as they are because I just had a bunch of things I wanted to say and that's how long it took?
No.
No, that's
Okay.
impossible.
All right, sorry.
What a baffling sentence. Anyway, the tweet goes on. He spent an hour trying to discredit all criticism of him.
When? Where?
Yeah, which he didn't.
He's
By
to-
claiming they hide behind subjective opinions and caps that off by saying his objective reasoning may be wrong. Like, yeah, what's the contradiction there?
So first of all, it's interesting that he says I'm trying to discredit criticism of myself. When I criticize myself, I have a section where I explain like my biggest blunders, and there's more. Since that time, I made the Captain Marvel video where I said there are 500 stars in the Milky Way, I think I said, which is really wrong. Like, embarrassingly wrong. And funny thing is, me and Fringy looked for that number, and I don't know how it escaped us, and then proof watching from other people. I noticed how dumb that was, like, soon after releasing the video, and I was like, fuck, how did that escape me? But yeah, that's wrong, and it happened because I didn't catch it. I made a mistake. I don't try and stop myself from being criticized. I'm actually like pretty cool with it. It's not criticism if you tell me you don't like my video, I guess. Is that what he's getting at? Because like I don't care if you don't like my video. I'm like, okay, that's useless to me. Like, moving on. But if that's me discrediting or trying to hide away from criticism, then that's an interesting bit.
These people don't actually watch your videos, I think. Like, they literally do not watch your videos. They just take... I think that what they think they are is just formed off of random bits and pieces of what other people have said that they cobble together. Instead
That
of
sounds
just watching
like news sharing in general, really.
I don't even... Why is this a problem, by the way? Objective reasoning may be wrong. Why does he say that like it's a bad thing? It's like, yeah, I can fuck that up.
Mistakes are possible.
Yeah, imagine being so... he calls you out and says that you don't have integrity, and then also says that you say you could be wrong. What a strange individual. What an absolute buffoon. What an imbecile.
Buffoon is a good
he
word.
ends-
I'm happy to hear you using it, Rags.
He says at the end, as if that's a much worse version of the same defense, dishonestly edited to pander to his audience.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure.
Which I have no idea he's referring to. He says, and follows that up with the blatantly subjective take that the saga was complete.
I mean, okay, so giving him the maximum amount of benefit of the doubt, I do think I say the saga was complete in reference to 1 through 6, or at the very least 4 through 6. And if someone was like, that's completely subjective, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I need to define what I mean by complete, I suppose. That the story has reached a climax, the journeys are completed to a degree with characters. I think they would be reasonable to agree with that, but I wouldn't even be against the idea that saying that's subjective. I'd be like, yeah, okay, fine, nothing's never really ended, if that's what you're saying, fine.
You can justify the subjective nature of the claim. That's all it does, is it shifts it from being, let's use this standard to determine whether or not there's a level of completeness here, to subjectively, I think it's complete, and here are all the references that I'm going to use to back this up.
And besides, like, I could
out my asshole.
If he considers this me criticizing myself, then so be it. But yeah, you could have carried it on and made it really good, like, and I'd be okay with it. You could have had episodes 7, 8, and 9 that were really good, sure. And then we'd be like, but it's complete, MauLer, so would you really want that? It's like, well, I guess I'm okay with a story carrying on if it's really awesome. Like, but you didn't need to. I didn't need more films after the OT. Did anybody need that? Well, I guess it's a matter of what is it to need a film, you know? That's opening up a whole other
That
thing.
guy who came watching the trailer needed it.
Yeah, that's just one definition away from clearing up.
So he's not a fan of me, is the point of that. Our conversation ended with me back and forthing with him, and I'm not sure if I got the screenshot on hand. We got something else that I want to show you guys first. But I basically, like, he says to me that YouTube isn't the platform for me, or something like that, and then I was like, it's just blatantly untrue, and I referenced my subscriber count, and then he comes back with like, wow, trying to say you got more subscribers, that means you're valid, or something like that. I was like, no, it's literally just that people want to see my work on this
I have
platform.
an audience here, so it is a place for me.
Exactly.
And
Did
eventually,
he at least have a suggestion?
well, he eventually
Like, hundreds of
conceded.
thousands of people
The
wanna watch my stuff.
conversation ends with him saying something like, yeah, okay, fine, you're still an asshole, or something like that, and then I'm like, okay, fine.
Okay.
Well, I was like, okay, fine, but we can, just let me know if you want to talk about this sometime. And he was like, yeah, fine, I'll keep it in mind. I was like, okay, cool. And that was like a year ago? I was like, yeah, that's fine. Or half a year ago, whatever, it doesn't really
Is
matter.
he coming on?
No, he's not. Well, I mean, he can still, but this happened. He's on a podcast with friends of his, I suppose. I have no context for what this is. I was just sent this and listened to it, and I found it amusing. So he's in the top right, and then guy in the top left, I believe, is a fan of mine in some way, shape, or form, or at least he watches some of my work, and let's just listen to what they say and discuss it, because this is going to be interesting.
Does he have a pentagram
right.
on his wall?
This
Oh,
season
what an
one.
insanely
At the end of
ugly
season one.
person.
Okay.
So while Dashy's off using the restroom, I've been watching.
I gotta
You know,
turn this
I
up.
in the background while I'm writing and I'm doing work, I listen to EFAP. Well, mostly any kind of podcast.
He listens
Yay!
to EFAP, high five!
Yeah,
I assume he might be listening to
hooray.
this right now. Hello, Celtic Phoenix, how do you do?
Hello, Celtic Phoenix. Thanks for watching EFAP.
And Fat Man, it's very interesting, and my head perked because I was just watching the episode where someone sent a super chat in asking MauLer to debate you. And he seems very.
This guy's. You can see it in his face. He's like, oh,
Oh, fuck.
oh, fuck.
about
Make your bed
your
bed before
animosity
you
towards him,
use your
or at
webcam.
least your
Clean your room.
Do you have a chessboard next to his
what's up with
bedside?
As you know, a little bit of bed chess.
Well, I think it's
Against
interesting that
himself.
you pointed that out instead of the massive upside down pentagram. That's on his wall.
Exactly.
Also, the fact that his wall has clearly been damaged by something in some way. That's the white spots.
Well, that was Satan.
That was
Oh, okay.
that was the spell.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
to
that doesn't
battle
seem
the
like
guy.
him.
Man, that desk though.
Is
You would take a
is that
flamethrower to that.
Is
How
that
do
a
you
bottle
even-
of cleaner on the chessboard?
That's his lube.
Oh my, that actually might be lube.
Oh,
no.
I
Jesus.
think that might.
I don't even know. I don't know.
Anyway,
for your the weird spat you guys had.
Well-
He was confused.
and may I just say, Celtic Phoenix, liking the setup, looking good. Nice. You got the microphones all
Yeah,
in
he's
place.
got the
The whiteboard in the background for what I guess is notes or subscribers or whatever. You got the sofa and then the
Couch,
background
yeah.
thing. Looking good.
There's something
Seems
written
like-
on the whiteboard now. It's like too low resolution to tell.
That's a shame. Hope it says Hail EFAP.
Or Big Idiot. It
Big
looks
Idiot.
like it.
big idiot.
Hail Big Idiots.
by and he's like,
Well, my animosity towards him is that he's like a twat basket on Twitter.
Wow, why
I'm a
would he
twat
behave
basket.
that way?
So
But
FYI,
not me. I wasn't being a twat basket. I wasn't assigning characteristics to people that I couldn't in any way actually back up because he's a twat basket.
yeah, just for clarification, I'm the twat basket, and yet he said I have no charisma or integrity or understanding of media analysis or argumentation, and
Cinema
I'm
sensitive.
shallow, trite, and dishonest. Thanks,
First.
bro.
And just to be clear, did you was that a reply to you in any way? Or
No,
was
that came
like
out.
just-
I remember that's the first time I've ever heard of him, and I was like, okay, why does he hate me? This happens so fucking much to me. YouTubers hate me, and I'm like, oh, hey, hello, I'm MauLer. What's up? They're like, fucking MauLer, you piece of shit.
You're a terrible, horrible person.
You
have no
ruined
charisma.
media. Do you know this?
You have no honesty.
Oh, no.
You are a disgusting demon.
Also, yeah, I'm trying to
Hide behind
balance the
your
audio for you
memes.
guys in chat. Fat Man is much louder than Celtic, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like a
he
back
is.
and forth. Sorry, I'll try and make sure you don't blow your ears out. I apologize.
I'm just really glad that the left half of each letter is orange, while the right half of each letter is blue.
Not well, but the L's look weird because they're like 80% orange.
Yeah.
Fat man falling.
His content is just really like poorly
Really?
written.
Okay.
That is until I saw his fucking Star Wars video, man. That's just like how do you spend an hour like decrying the concept of subjectivity?
That's an interesting discussion to have.
You could go
Like,
on
this
for
isn't even-
days
this is a-
talking about
Yeah,
that.
this isn't a very substantive anything actually.
The idea of how you can actually view existence, yeah, that's an interesting conversation that can go on for a little longer than an hour, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And the statements
Some
you
might
make,
say we
and-
will never discover the truth if there
Yes.
even is an end to that.
Especially when that conversation is used often to decry you specifically.
And this
Yeah.
is a conversation that's been going on for a really long. I wasn't, just FYI, because a lot of people feel this way. I didn't bring this up. I wasn't the one who said, "Hey, what about the idea of this?" It's like, no, I'm actually. It's actually came up ages ago. Like, I'm talking. You know, you got to have a lot of zeros on top of a number, and then that many years. Okay, like a lot of people have been talking about this for a long time. I'm just one dude. So just saying like, you didn't talk about this for like an hour. It's like, oh, you nailed it. Destroyed the whole conversation. Good
He
job.
talked about it. How do you talk about it for an hour? It's like, well, I think there's a lot to say. And generally, one might even make the inference that intelligent people can draw a lot more blood from that there stone.
Mhm. Also, I find it interesting because he does a channel reviewing anime, as far as I'm aware, and I'm pretty sure he spent
No,
more
a
than-
guy. No, this guy. No way. No, not this guy.
I'm pretty
By the
sure
way,
he's
it's small.
the guy with like
small-
loads of tissues on his desk.
I make a tiny tangent here. So I have really long hair. I haven't got a haircut in many years. I have very long hair. However, because I have long hair, I go through great lengths to maintain it well. I don't like it when people have long hair and it looks like shit because then when I tell people I have long hair, they're like, "Oh,
You look like that. You're like,
You
no.
must look like one of these people. I was like, no. I bathe. I have white person hair. I have to bathe it regularly and all that stuff.
I'd like to point out as well, Rags' room is, I can already guarantee, much cleaner than this.
It literally is. I'm looking around at it. It
Shit
is.
everywhere, tissues.
Tissues
I don't need. Yeah, I
blue
don't.
bottles
Like,
everywhere.
like
It's important. You need a slippery
my
chessboard.
in plain sight.
Do you have your
You know?
bedside chessboard, Rags?
I have a bedside table, but there's not a chessboard on it. This
Fix
is
that.
Well,
the
a true
chessboard is things that
intellectual would have a
someone over to play
chessboard.
it with. Yeah, I guess.
Why does he
You don't-
have
and then
the
you're-
casing for a fan, but not the fan itself?
Well, no, it could be spinning.
Yeah, that looks like it
Oh,
could be the
that's true.
fan, right?
Yeah, it could be spinning. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fat Man Falling.
That was an
You look like
objectively
you need some
inaccurate
cooling,
criticism.
I have wronged you.
Also, on the matter of subject hair, keep it kempt and,
Subject here?
what happened to
Subject hair.
grooming? How come that's just not a thing anymore? Was
Fuck
there like a convention where people decided they would just stop grooming their faces?
Somebody announced that
Especially
grooming.
during
Every
live-
convention ever.
Grooming is the big gay. Someone announced it.
It was replaced with subjectivity.
There you go.
No.
You're
Yeah,
like,
if everything's subjective. I don't have to take care of myself. I can look like a piece of shit and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because
like
objectively you
garbage,
wouldn't be
whatever.
anything at all. You know,
Yeah, don't worry about
nailed
it.
it.
decrying the concept of subjectivity, and then
I don't
you're
even decry the subject. I'm actually very in favor of subjectivity. It's very
Yeah,
important
we
to
talk
me.
about it all the time.
The
like,
idea
have
that
you
I
ever
think
watched-
feelings are bad or something. Like, no.
That's why
Always say that
especially
feelings
went
aren't
ahead
important.
and said for Endgames like, oh yeah, objective wise, but subjective wise, like, ooh, we really love that movie.
Yeah,
because
it makes
it's
things
good.
so easy to explain to someone. They're like, "Oh, you liked it, but you thought it was poorly written." Yes.
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 Oh, there we go. That was easy to explain, wasn't it?
Yeah. That
Well,
wasn't too
remember
tough.
our recent conversation? I say conversation where I ranted at you specifically about Steven Universe,
Yes.
and lots of the things I said were objective, and then I said I hate them. I hate why did they do this? I
No,
hate
no,
it.
Jay. It was all subjective because there is no.
No, because they fucked White Diamond.
No, that sounds very sexual.
That sounds like a stripper name.
That's why I said it sounds very sexual. But yeah, okay. Let's carry on.
or like complaints about a movie, you're like, I would have preferred if it was a different movie. Like, what?
Okay.
What?
What? No.
Yeah, that's all he
What?
says. That's all you say, MauLer. That's all you say. That
Wait, so if I-
encapsulates the entirety of your video.
If I say like I would prefer, like I suggest a fix for a plot hole, that's me saying I prefer a different movie at that point. I guess. Okay.
Some movies I'd prefer a different movie. Captain Marvel,
Sure.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, the whole concept of the reroll thing that I kind of like that you brought up. Like when you've watched a movie, it's like, would you want to re-roll this, keep it, or risk a worse one for a better one, etc. Like I would re-roll
man.
TFA in a heartbeat as well as TLJ.
Absolutely.
Well, if you roll TFA, then I guess TLJ is going to.
It just stays the same, even though TFA is completely different. It's like different.
Well, that's okay because
characters.
it's all subjective, so it can stay
Yeah.
the same. Fuck it.
Well, if you remember, Quinton Reviews, our Lord and Savior of a different universe, he once said that it's only a sequel if you interpret it that way.
That's insane.
fuck's sake.
Like that's actually an insane thing to say.
He said that though. He's
When
wonderful.
did he say that?
He
When
said
did
that in the oh shit, when did he say that? Was that
When
the
did he say
TRO
that?
video? Or
Was that the? No, I think that was his video where he talks about the Last Jedi,
Oh,
where he
we
says like
haven't-
the fan stuff and everything.
We haven't covered that on EFAP. We've done it. We did it on Wolf's Pot. We need to do that on E
We
EFAP.
haven't. We need to. I can't believe it.
Yeah, we'll do that. It's one of like the best quotes ever. Anyway, moving on.
It's
Oh, by the way he quoted me just there saying that, oh yeah, you just prefer a different movie. Look at Celtic Phoenix's reaction. He's like, that's not
sure
really what he
about
said.
that
Is that what he said? Is that things that he?
objectively bad that this movie didn't tell the story I wanted it to tell.
I honestly think if you
Dude,
listen to the
come
EFAP,
on.
he goes very in depth about his process for the writing, and it makes a lot of sense.
Oof. Get
Uh-oh.
fucked.
Because like, the thing is, he
Look at him awkwardly laughing. Like that's not. What are you
Yeah,
saying?
it's like,
Stop.
that's what's so crazy. Is like the most obvious thing that you could probably take away from you is that you draw the difference between objective and subjective. Like that's our big thing, that they're not the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, this is the thing. If you were to rename it, if you go, MauLer, all you're talking about when you say objective is consistency. You're not talking about anything objective. I'd be like, okay, but my work still makes sense if you were to switch that one word then, right?
Yes, it's just a word swap. The concepts remain the same.
Like, all of my work is still following all of those, that framework then. So it's still of that, it still is what it is, right? It'll just be like, if you just disagree with the way I've labeled it, that it still does what I intended for it to do, I guess.
There is more to like that can be objective than just consistency, though. Like 15-year-olds not crying.
I mean,
Yeah, we're not saying that that's all it is. We're just
yeah,
saying
I'm
that
just
that's how
suggesting
they
that
want
if
to
their
define
issue is the use of the word, I'm like, surely you can get over that. Yeah, but instead they write off everything I've done. It's like, cool.
No, but they hate you anyway, though. And
Oh,
they're
of
just like,
course.
hmm.
Which is why this is
Yes.
fascinating, to keep an eye on the guy who hates me versus the guy who's like, well, I don't know if how much he likes my work or not, but he seems to be in favor of me.
Is it ironic that the guy who's defending you kind of looks like Jack Saint?
A little.
I'm okay with
Little
that.
bit.
You know, he was kissed by fire, you know, and you get all kinds of different personalities out of that ginger
Kissed
hair.
by fire.
What they say.
He's
very
flame
clearly
kissed.
when he's making when he's making an objective statement and when he's or an objective opinion versus a subjective opinion. He kind of delineates the two.
Objective opinion.
All right, Fat Man Falling, define opinion for me, buddy. Do it.
Objective opinion's a thing. Why do people think objective opinions aren't a thing? Like,
'Cause they
this
don't
is an
realize what
established
opinion
thing.
means.
Look, we have to go through this all the time, Rex. We've talked about this privately. I
Like,
know.
You could, like, here, let me Google it just to.
An opinion is just a judgment. So
Yeah,
if
like,
you
this is
judge
a
something
thing.
that's true, then it's objective.
This isn't even like a hidden thing. This is like a clearly defined thing. It's like people saying that Saturn isn't real. It's just like I don't understand.
Why is that the go-to for something wrong?
No, it's not my go-to for something wrong. It's my go. It was my momentary go-to for something that exists that people just don't. They just act like it's not a thing.
Are there people who believe that Saturn isn't real?
Probably.
No, I said it's like saying that.
Oh,
Well, first off, yes, there are people who don't think Saturn's real. There are people
Well,
who
there are
deny
people
that
who think-
space exists.
There are
Yes,
people who deny that nuclear exists.
but the whole point of what I'm saying is that this is you have subjective opinions which exist. They are a thing. They're clearly defined. This is easily Googleable stuff, and people hear that and they're just like they're dumbstruck, and they just
Well,
the logical
like
step,
they
right?
don't exist.
I feel like he'd be laughing his ass off. He's just giggling to himself like objective is so stupid. And I'm like, okay, Fat Man Falling, define opinion. He's one of two options. One, laughs at us again because everyone knows the definition of opinion. There's no need for him to say it. We just have to keep pushing him. Or he says it's your personal take on a thing. It's your feelings on what it is. And it's like, nope.
But even if it's your feelings and what it is, then if your feelings are that like, oh, that my desk is made of glass, that's objective. That's even if I feel it to be
It
true.
wouldn't be defined that way. However, you can make a subjective judgment, right? Like, that's fine. And what determines whether or not a judgment is subjective or objective is usually going to be the content of it and what the topic is.
Yeah, an opinion. I mean, even in the I think in the definition of opinion, when we talked about it, it was like it doesn't necessarily have to be based on like what's true or what is a fact. It can. It might not be, but it can. It's in fact, it's kind of independent of it. Either way, it's still an opinion.
Shouldn't be so controversial, and yet it is.
It's
It kinda
weird.
seems like-
People just don't think about it. That's the thing. They don't think about it. So when they hear it, to them, it just seems otherworldly.
Just
When it's
drop
really
it.
based-
I think everything would get better if we dropped the word opinion. Nobody can use it anymore, and we have to use something else in order to translate what we're saying to each other.
Yes, you have to use a new word for that concept.
What we would start saying pretty much is just judgment. Judgment's the easy one to go for, and then they would be saying your feelings on something. We'd be like, nope, not talking about feelings. Nope.
Sure,
Not talking about
if you substitute the word opinion with judgment, everyone immediately understands what you mean. An
I like to
objective
think they
judgment.
would, but then they might say that your subjective judgment.
No,
every
because then
judgment
they'll
makes-
agree
Some
with
people are
bad
dumb.
long man, and then they'll find some bullshit reason.
just put the definition. Just define opinion at the start of all of your videos.
Yeah,
They-
like make
they
an
see
intro.
that as stupid.
Someone make MauLer an intro that has the definition of
They
opinion.
think that's stupid. They're like, of course everyone knows what opinion means. And
But
then you're sitting there
obviously
like,
fucking not.
well, exactly. They think that we're the stupid ones who've decided that opinion means something else. Just Right did the same thing. Joseph Anderson did the same thing. Joseph Anderson searched for definitions of opinion that involve like the specifics of it has to be about your feelings. And he's like, see? And he pulled it from a site that has a definition for objective opinion. That was the funny part. Joseph Anderson's a funny guy. But yeah, this is the thing. The best they can do is bitch and moan about how it's their definition that should be adopted. But this is the thing. We're just running from... What's the... fact and feeling... It doesn't go fact and opinion. People often say fact and opinion. It's like fact and feeling is the two. Opinion can be both or either. What's your opinion on how good TLJ looks? Like aesthetically, you'd be like,
Looks
great.
expensive.
I like it.
I understand that it's really technically competent, but I just don't like the way it looks.
See what I mean, though? Like, all the statements we just made. So, Rag's saying it looks expensive. He could probably develop that. You could actually give references for why that's the case. Me saying, I like it, I don't have to go any further than that. I should be like, it's pleasing to my eye. And then you saying, I actually don't like it. You'd be like, again, what we said was subjective. What Rag said is up for debate depending on how he qualifies. And this is what makes conversation interesting, by the way. Instead of just going, oh, you like it? Okay, bye. That was a great conversation, bye.
No, we
Wouldn't
killed
want things to go
discussion.
too long.
We're up to 2 hours already. We've, like, accomplished nothing in this stream.
We've accomplished many things.
Of course. That's
Well,
what we do.
we did sort out some ladders. So
Hang on.
Yeah. The important
Talking
ladder
about some
question.
stupid gay-ass cactus farm.
CinemaSins announces Sin Week, a CinemaSins fan event.
Sin Week.
CinemaSins
Sin
fan?
Week?
Oh, is that like the opposite of Lent?
Oh my god, yeah, everyone commit gluttony.
You go nuts with a particular vice. You're like, oh, yes.
Oh, lust. I call lust.
Fuck.
Well, the problem is, Rags, what if it's
Yeah, I
a
know,
matter
right?
of, like, people like Fat Bad Falling are the ones who are like, yeah, I'm up for that too, Rags.
Everyone has to pick a deadly sin now.
Well, obviously for MauLer, it's pride. Because he's evil.
What's
wait,
like
there are
pride
10?
taken to the nth degree? Like, what would I be doing?
Narcissism.
massive pride.
No,
Basically-
like in the form of actions. Like, what do you picture I'd be doing if I was taking pride to the worst?
Like as a YouTuber?
Would I like release a video
You'd be making,
saying how
more
good I am
people
or something?
Listen to me talk about Fallout.
I would say
people
that-
listen to me talk about Fallout every day than most people listen to in their entire life.
Oh god, I'd make statements
I
like
would
that,
say
wouldn't
that's
I?
the
Yeah.
nth degree. I would
Yeah,
say
that's
the
not.
nth
Yeah,
degree.
no, but it's still pretty fucking terrible in terms of YouTubers.
I think so.
Oh,
I think we can
picked
go
Sloth.
further.
I would probably release a video reviewing my own work and saying it's perfect or something like that.
Yeah. So the most extreme form of pride. I'm not sure I'd have.
Oh
pride,
yeah,
but
I just meant within the realm of me as a YouTuber. Like, what would the action I take
Yeah,
be? But, yeah,
yeah, I'd probably have to think about it.
interesting though.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He calls it. I think it's a weird statement, but it's an opinion that he tries to base upon factual information, as opposed to personal preference.
Look at his mind go.
Yeah, I think
That's if you're basing if you're not basing an opinion on something.
No, finish your thought. No, finish your thought, fat man. Carry
My
that
opinion
forwards.
Is that
That sounds
Please
so rude, but
continue.
that's
the
actually
temperature of
his
the room
name.
is 30 degrees Celsius. However, his thermometer is broken, and he is unaware of that fact. So his opinion, while factually true by his knowledge,
I would correct him on factually true and change it to objective. I didn't have any. So this is the thing I've talked about before. It's just an easy analogy to try and help people understand what I'm getting at. Where, because they would question, how do you get an objective opinion that could be non-factual or inaccurate?
Yeah, the analogy would be that it's objectively true that the thermometer is something incorrect.
Yeah. And the reason why we have to talk about this is because some people will say something like, Bucky was brainwashed in Civil War, and if Steve had only told Iron Man that, Iron Man wouldn't attack him. And it's like, they may not have any feelings in the game about this. They just didn't remember the scene in which that happened, or those things happen. And so you show them, and you go, yeah, you were being fine. Like, I don't think you had any bias in making you come up with these statements. You just had a lack of information. So that's where it's applicable in media. But then some people might be like, struggling to understand it. So I say, like, you have a thermometer, it's displaying a number, you read it out when someone asks you what the temperature of the room is, and it turns out it was broken, unaware to you, and so they say, like, wow, you were being subjective? It's like, that doesn't make sense. I don't have any investment in whether or not the thermometer reads whatever number, I just read the number.
Yes, you can mistakenly believe that the thermometer is telling you the accurate temperature when really you're just taking the reading. Incorrect or not, you are still using that to objectively base your opinion.
I think that makes sense. Let's see how he reacts to it.
While his opinion, while objective, is factually false. He is making an opinion.
This is
with
the
bad
this whole facepalm out of the camera thing. I think this is like a coping mechanism for a lot of people.
Well, I mean,
like they use it to almost like hide an inability.
I don't know if
to.
There's a teat down there that he is suckling on.
Maybe.
I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but he's making a video on me, apparently, by the way, Fat Man Falling.
Oh,
I would
that's
fucking
amazing.
love that. I can't wait.
He's gonna take me down, boys. I'm ready.
I'm
It's
ready.
very interesting.
Does this
God, I have to do it again.
person not understand what the word guess means?
What does guess have to do with opinion?
That's a
So
good question.
he's suggesting that if the thermometer was broken and I read out the number, I wouldn't have been creating an objective and opinion. I would have been guessing.
What? No.
I don't understand. It seems like a non sequitur. I was like, there's no guessing involved. I read the number.
Yeah, if it was me here, I would have stopped him right there. I was like, no. Continue, because you're starting off with a faulty premise, and I value time to some degree. So, where are you coming from with this guess stuff?
Also, what's that thing behind Celtic? It looks like it does sound canceling and stuff.
Behind
think
who?
I think
Behind,
that's just like
Celtic.
a wardrobe.
Behind Celtic?
I've heard that pronunciation. That's okay.
Celtic Phoenix.
Oh, that's some bullshit.
Celtic Phoenix.
That's bullshit.
I do not.
No, Celtic and Celtic are both words. So
Fucking
Yeah,
Okay,
I
well,
can't remember the specifics on it, but yeah.
The cool guy. Well, what's the thing behind
Call
him?
him Phoenix. Call him Phoenix. There you go.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
I
looks
don't
like
think it's
does
noise
sound
cancelling. I think it might just be one of those screens for like you can put them up and move them around for when you're like changing and stuff. The black one.
Then again, I bet it helps enough. I'm just trying to.
Oh
give
yeah,
a
I'm sure it
little
does.
bit of sound
I
canceling.
imagine there might be something horrifically awful behind it, and he's covered it up.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see.
does the guy who looks like you?
I'm actually curious. What the are those screens that maybe you could reposition? I don't know. I don't even know what those are.
I think they are.
Has the guy at the bottom said anything yet?
Not
No.
yet. Looks
You
like he's
might
having
not
fun
watch.
though.
I'm not sure.
It's very interesting.
Does this person not understand what the word guess means? A guess isn't
Nervous
an opinion.
laughter, non sequitur.
A guess isn't an opinion. I mean, a lot of judgments are made without full information, so you could argue that they're not definitive and therefore partially a guess.
I'm pretty sure if you base your information, like you base a judgment on a guess, that isn't.
Yeah, that's almost more an opinion than not.
One would say that a guess is
Also, if you're
guess.
if you're misinformed, that's not a guess. That's you being misinformed.
Yeah, like, you know, I can trust Rags 100%, and if he tells me, like, oh, Jay fucking behind your back said a bunch of shit, and then I, like, challenge Jay on it, and he's like, oh, he lied. I'd be like, huh. And then Jay's like, so you guessed that I said that? I'd be like, I mean, not
yeah,
really.
giving incorrect information and isn't something I would equate to a lie anyway.
It's a weird way to frame this.
He's see.
Because if you are unaware that the
It's
thermometer is broken, then you would think that it's going to be the temperature set on the
Listen to his
thermometer.
mind break.
Unless it is a radically different temperature.
Yeah.
Look at the guy, he's
This
like
isn't actually
concerned. He's like,
This
why
isn't
are
actually
you
complicated.
like, why are you reacting this way, fat man?
Yeah.
It's not actually all that complicated. It's just probably not something you just think about often. This doesn't exactly come up in conversation colloquially that much.
That awkward as fuck laugh. Look at that
The
again.
awkward nervous. Yeah, the
He's
awkward
laughing
nervous.
They
because
laugh.
his
radically
worldview
different.
is crashing around him.
That's how you cope.
That's not real.
Look at his face.
His face was
real laugh.
his face was frozen and his eyes were staring forward. It's like the most forced laugh I've ever seen. Like, oh god, I gotta laugh.
That's not a real laugh at all.
Deflect.
The
I'm
absurdity of it.
That's
And
funny
it's
as
like
hell.
Baffled.
Is he like?
I'm probably doing this a whole disservice, man.
No, you're not, man.
You're doing
really
okay,
don't.
Phoenix.
Not
You're doing
that bad.
okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate
No,
it.
it's not that bad. Yeah.
Like,
I like the analogy.
The where you're failing isn't necessarily your fault. It's you have to translate it to this man who's not really hearing what you're saying. Is what my take would be, which we've struggled with. The many guests we've had, me and Rag spend like hours trying to break down what we're saying to them, and we eventually just have to we have to have them agree to redefine words.
You have to re.
You have to yeah.
To read them.
So don't worry, don't worry.
Honestly, I think the problem
Because
is
like
you both.
I can never tell if he's joking.
Why would you assume
And
he's
I, like,
joking?
that you
honestly,
can't
like
tell
I hope
that.
he's joking a lot of the time, but like in his like
Yeah?
tweets back and forth with H Bomber Guy, he's like said
Motherfucker, H Bomber Guy said to me that what is it? The whole thing about the hitboxes being fucked in DS2 wasn't an error or wasn't a mistake. I can't remember what word he used, but he was trying to like move around the idea that they were terrible, and he didn't mention them in his video whatsoever, even though a lot of people who play DS2 will happily mention them. And I remember being like, you can't be serious. Like, the hitboxes are so fucking terrible, you have to at least admit that those are bad. And he was just like, not necessarily, because everything's subjective, and a hitbox is only bad if you feel it's bad. Like, Jesus Christ.
But I like it was like a flaw, but it wasn't an error or something.
Yeah, he used
What,
two
they did it on
words.
purpose.
I can't
I didn't fuck
specifically-
up on purpose.
I can't remember the specifics, but the idea that I was
Maybe
the
no,
clown in that conversation, like, really?
H Bomber Guy does some things.
like, oh, it's my opinion
I'm
that
on good terms with H Bomber Guy as far as I can tell. I have back and
Wait,
forth
really?
in DMs every once in a while. After his new video, the Scanlines one, I actually thought that was a really awesome video, and I sent him a
That was an
message
awesome video.
that I really liked it, and the Blade Runner thing with the unicorn is something that once they added the dream sequence in, I felt that it really boosted the film, and that I kind of liked that he went over that. And then, yeah, he sent me a few messages back talking about some of the bits he cut out and everything, and I was like, it's weird. I'm like, am I on good terms with you or not? I don't know. But,
Invite him on E EFAP.
I don't think he'd ever want to come on here. I'd be lucky to get
You
a
know that if he
conversation with
did
him.
that, the kind, you know, the crowd he hangs out with, hang him
Sure.
from the rafters if he showed up here.
No. No.
Yeah,
'Cause he'd still be a good.
Look, do you just see what happened to ContraPoints?
I didn't see what happened. Hang on, what happened
That's
to Contra Point?
crazy.
ContraPoints has been removed from the left almost.
What happened?
She said
She
a couple things.
completely reasonable thing that
Yeah.
What did she
didn't
say?
I guess to try and summarize it, this is, again, I'm paraphrasing and I may have gotten some of this wrong, but it's just so people have some context. From what I understood, she was saying that what she doesn't like about being with very, let's just call them a woke crowd, is that when they see her arrive in a group, they'll want to make a point to everybody say their pronouns once they see her. And conversely, when she's with a group of people who aren't woke, who don't care about any of that stuff, they don't, and they'll still refer to her as ma'am and, you know, she and stuff like that. And so she was saying, almost ironically, that she prefers not having to bring it on, like to arrive in a group and then have them all go, okay, pronouns time. You know what I mean? Like, she'd rather it be natural.
Like a normal, like living like a.
yeah,
like
she said a
normal.
completely normal thing, which means that the left ate her up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I read that and I found it interesting. I said this to Rags before. I was like, that's really interesting as a sort of commentary on almost like the unexpected acceptance, or at least you could call it that from their point of view. And it's unfortunate because it's pissed people off who consider her on their team, if you will. Apparently, it's very much upset non-binaries, because non-binaries are people who very much require pronouns to be stated, and so her saying that is too.
Well, then if you're non-binary, then state your fucking pronouns.
Yeah, but they're saying that her story there as a content creator and influencer is damaging to non-binaries. I think that was their argument.
These are the people who think that Trump is trying to kill trans people.
I don't know what Trump is trying to do, but I'm pretty sure it's not that.
He's trying to build a wall, and it's going to be fucking
I think
beautiful.
if Trump did that, it would be by accident.
But yeah, either way,
if the wall fell over and landed on a trans person trying to cross the border illegally through the
I think-
desert.
one of the
If
bricks
I-
fall on them, like ow.
Trump meant to do that. It was the 40 check.
But yeah, point being though, if H Bomber Guy did come on EFAP and have a good time, it wouldn't look good for him, I don't think.
Right, but that's not a political statement, though. Coming on
They
EFAP.
think we,
No,
we are
everything
Nazis.
is political
That
to
does
these
not matter.
people.
No, but
Come on, Jay.
These people think everything is political. There's no such thing as a non-political thing.
they're
he's
desperate to know my
he's
politics because they want to be able to throw me out the window if you know what I mean. And so what I always see said online is he hangs out with Rags, who often hangs out with Sargon. Therefore, that's his politics.
Therefore, we're indistinguishable from one another. We never have any.
We're here. We're here. We're like respecting the idea that you can, like respecting a trans person's pronouns and all of that shit, and having just like a.
Well, they won't accept
the idea that you can do that and you can choose what pronouns you feel comfortable with, and they want to know. But are you still a bad though? Do you believe in Nazism, person who believes in trans rights? Are you?
Yeah, these people are nuts.
Well, I'd love it if H-Bomber Guy came on, though. I would love to have a conversation about art analysis and stuff. I just don't. I think the best I'll ever get is a Discord call with him, which I'd be cool with. I don't think you'd ever come on EFAP though.
It makes you wonder, like with ContraPoints, and it's weird too because when I made an FA account, I got, and I still do, get regular messages from people who are like furries and in the furry fandom and stuff who say, yeah, I just can't talk about politics because of how insane people are and what they'll do to me. And they won't do work for me, and I'll get called out all the time.
Be right back.
Cancel culture.
People can't talk about politics in the furry fandom.
Correct. Well,
talk about it anyway.
Politics. Like, dude, did you? Tim Pool made a video like within the week about how there was a poll and 73% of students who were self-identified Republicans said that they withheld giving their political opinions for fear that there would be academic backlash against them by like staff and teachers, and it would hurt their grades. Like, people don't want to. This is why when Trump was elected, people were like, "What? What?" Well, yeah, because people don't want to say that shit in public because you people treat us like we're second-class citizens or that we're freaks or weirdos or hateful monsters.
Are you saying that you are a Republican, Rags? I thought you said that you were left. Have you said that? What have you said?
I'm not left.
I thought you said you were left. What did you say?
Wolf is the one who was left. I would say I'm left as well.
Yeah, I'd say socially I'm pretty moderate generally, but there are some things I don't even know if you could. Depends on how you define far right.
Yeah, this is the other thing. This gets super complicated.
Second Amendment, and I've pretty clearly defined views on like immigration and stuff, but I'm very egalitarian and very pro meritocracy. And
wait, hang on, you disagree with me on issues? I'm not talking.
Well, I was going to say as well. It's just funny you said about the whole like what they'll do with the second-class citizen thing. It's like we literally had Quinton being like, "Do not humanize Ben Shapiro." Stop! It's dangerous.
Fucking Ben Shapiro is a human. He's also a melon.
But the awkward thing you realize, which is Quinton wishes to dehumanize the Jews. Quinton, stop! Stop it quickly! You're becoming something you wish to destroy. Anyway, back to this wonderful video. Sorry to take it so far off track.
Said, oh, it's my opinion that fire burns flesh. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it is your
my opinion that fire burns flesh.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
So, if we, again, replace opinion with judgment, it is my judgment that fire burns flesh. Yeah? What's wrong with that?
To burning flesh?
Well, it's interesting.
Why is the pentagram man talking about burning flesh?
That's the analogy he goes to first.
I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, it is my opinion. Rags, it is my opinion that fire burns flesh. This also is what you might consider an objective opinion because it's based off of the facts of reality.
Yeah, you don't actually have an investment in this personally. You weren't burned as a child by something.
I don't want to get my flesh burned.
Well, yes, my point is like, how would this become subjective? And it's like if you said something like, I don't know, water burns you, and it turns out that you had water spill on you that was really hot when you were younger, and you've always been afraid of water because it'll burn you, and you'd be like, Rags, that's not the case.
Yeah, you'd be like, water can scald you, yeah.
Yeah, sure,
something
but...
you thought was water was acid, and you're like, oh,
yeah, that too. Like, there's a lot of ways that your judgment can be skewed, and that's a part of my goal on my channel, is to find those biases and get rid of them as best you can.
Yeah, like, it's just the concept that you're using. You're just maybe saying, instead of fire or water burns, water scalds. Water blisters.
Oh, I was referring to the fact that if you said water burns as a whole, it's like, well, water can, or water can reach a high point. There's lots of other things. And, I don't know, man. Like, again, I would like him to repeat all of this without
That's
being
what's
allowed
great about
to
objective
use.
opinions is that if you don't know, we can test it and find out.
Yeah. And
That's
again,
not bad.
I'd like him to do all of this without being allowed to use the word opinion, and just notify me whenever he uses the replacement word, so I know what he's actually saying, because it's just like a word to hide behind.
I genuinely can't wait for his video.
I know it's gonna be great.
I'm so excited. It's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be so terrible. We love it.
Like, he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Go on.
he's a silly guy.
Damn.
Okay, wow, he got you
Gotcha.
there, man. Whew.
Yeah. You fucked now.
Beat the fuck out.
Who
Yeah.
doesn't present himself as a silly guy.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Okay.
Okay.
At least
I
that's
don't
an
even know what to
acknowledgement
make
from
of that.
him that I present myself in a non-silly way. All right.
Well,
You
you
can
can say the
start
same thing
using
about
silly
Jeremy Clarkson.
pronouns.
I don't really know what to make of that exactly.
Well, let me say in reverse, Fat Man, you are a silly guy who does present himself in a silly way.
But doesn't think you're silly. Which
Yeah,
is,
which is the
pentagram on
worst
your wall,
case
man.
scenario,
Yeah.
basically.
that is an odd criticism.
I give it about
Blown back by that.
I give it about 50% that there is at least some cum on that chessboard.
Ew.
50%.
Don't make me think about that.
I
please.
think that you are. I don't know if I'd say more or less. 50%.
I'd give it 50%.
I
No, why?
might if I had to over under you. I think I'd go over.
Is that your objective judgment or your subjective judgment?
That is a pure guess.
Hmm.
I mean,
I'm
it
surprised
depends-
there's not a hole in the middle of that
are you
pentagram.
talking about?
Cum
You're
hole?
probably talking. You're talking
Yeah.
about his not his unbridled rages at all. You're not talking about those at all, right?
No. I'm talking about
Oh, he knows to make the
his-
distinction between your
his
rages and your.
Twitter persona.
But he has long.
Yeah.
He's talking about my Twitter persona.
There's no.
That's all he watched.
No.
I have a Twitter persona? I wasn't unaware of this.
He's just read your tweets and that's his
But,
judgment.
but he's way worse on Twitter than I am. How is this fair?
What
Yo,
does he
he-
tweet about?
I'm gonna guess it's Trump.
Because I
Yeah, no, like I don't really care about his content besides the ones that
I don't care about
Oh,
his
great.
content.
Judge
all
people
right.
by the Twitter thingies and don't watch the content, but like
And the
"Oh,
length.
Rags doesn't exist.
twat basket or whatever the fuck he said.
Fat basket.
Fuck. Eh.
I've seen. Like,
Oh no, he tweets about
Like-
My Little Pony.
Oh.
No, he doesn't.
I guarantee
No,
you
he
he
doesn't.
spent spent more than an hour on it, meaning that he finds My Little Pony more worthy of discussion than the
I'd like
concept
to up
of
that to
subjectivity.
70%.
I think I'm with you on the 70. I'm gonna increase my 10 to
Can we
50%
not
to
reach
70.
100? Can we not just? I mean,
Like it's it's an objective
I
guarantee.
think we know that
there
it's
is cum on
true.
them their keys.
Starting to think those aren't dents in his wall.
oh no!
Oh no! Oh no!
How did you draw that pentagram?
Oh no!
Oh no! It was his bloody cum. Oh no!
Mm.
That is very metal.
How
Hey.
can you, Paul Metal. How can you say that?
Oh no!
How dare you?
Oh no!
You crossed the line
yeah,
there, buddy.
no, like I don't really care about his content besides the ones that I've seen. Like,
Okay.
What kind of statement is that? I don't care about his content outside of the ones I've seen. Well,
That's oddly phrased.
naturally.
That's an odd one.
Maybe he's seen all of it.
How do you care about the ones
And
you
he's
haven't?
being
You're
nice.
unaware of. Like, how does that work?
talking
That's
to him,
he's
like,
an odd one.
I mean, trying to like objectively quantify like artistic quality is like
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Why?
Oh, he got
Why?
you.
Silly.
No, he said it's ridiculous. Get fucked.
Game over, buddy.
he disagrees with that.
Like-
he heavily disagrees with that. I can't remember the.
Then let him.
That's where I think you guys can have a very interesting debate. Because do you believe there's an objective?
No, because there's no debate to.
You're asserting it, but
Just to
that's
be
not an
clear.
argument.
Just to be clear, would you happily debate this man?
Oh, sure. You can jump on EFAP whenever he wants.
I
It'd be a
would
hilarious
love to have
disaster.
him on E EFAP.
Dude, he's gonna get stunned immediately because we'll just ask for definitions and he's fucked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once you make him think about it, like really just past that first immediate step, then it just crumbles.
Definition. Silly. A guy I don't agree with.
Like we did it with DX and Snowman Gaming, didn't we? It was almost a similar conversation. They both came in like no, and then we were like, okay, terms. definitions, conclusions, and then they were like, okay, I can kind of see how you. Okay.
I mean, it was DX who agreed with our concept. He just didn't want to use the words that we use.
He also didn't like
Who the fuck is DX?
DX is the guy who came in, spoke to us against the wishes of Just Right.
Yeah, I know that. I saw that, but I don't know.
Well, he's the guy who made the video where he was talking about buzzwords in video essays, and the first one he said was objective, and that you can't be objective, and then we were like, we challenge you on such things.
This is not ringing any bells. I'm just gonna go.
Don't you watch all of EFAP back to back?
You're
twice?
a manager.
Yeah.
Well, you're honorary manager.
Well, maybe, Rags, I've had 3 too many beers.
That's a reference.
How many beers is that? How many beers is that?
I've had 3 beers currently. Well,
Oh,
that's
okay.
ciders, but
I'm still on 1, but I've got a long day ahead of me still. I got to leave in about an hour and a half, so I don't want to over imbibe.
Well, at least we'll get through this video by then, maybe.
Yeah, boy.
If you think there are objective standards of quality.
What do you think quality means?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, time
he's
to blow
asking,
people's...
how do you think things exist that you can literally make whenever you please?
This happens with every single fucking word they use, right? So quality, what does the majority of people think it means? And a lot of people will tell you it's like how much you like a thing. It's like, no. It means the degree to which a standard is satisfied, and that can be how much you like a thing. It can also be how much a thing is coherent, or how much, how fucking structurally sound a building is. Like, there's so many different ways. Quality is almost just dependent on the context in which you're using the word.
I just like that you can just gunfire the definition by now.
Well, yeah, it's because all of these
so many
people
times.
never think about definitions, and we just kind of like have to.
It's what we base our work on. This is why we know them.
And
always
what's
assume...
interesting too is that we know these definitions, but our arguments do not hinge upon them. They're just ways to describe what
I'm also
we're
willing to
talking.
accept that if you said that's not the only definition or something, I'd be like, okay, fine, let's explore the one that
sure,
you're
then let's
using
just come
versus
up with a new
mine.
word to use for this conversation.
Yeah.
That's all we have to do. It's that
If you think
simple.
there are objective standards of quality, you're just incorrect.
Good argument, mate.
Explain.
Yeah.
What makes Ruby shit?
Is that an echoing? We're
Am I echoing?
We're echoing in Raymond's.
Really?
Like when we light up, Raymond lights up too.
This
Yeah.
is their attempt at stopping him from speaking.
Are you echoing? I think so.
Not anymore. No, it's
Not
stopped
anymore.
now.
Okay.
Oh no, there it is. Wait, listen.
How?
Let's see.
I don't know.
I'm gonna talk and like I'm gonna keep talking, but see how Raymond's is still on?
No.
You hear me?
Yeah.
How about no?
I don't know when this gets
Let's see.
fixed.
I'm gonna keep talking.
What?
I hear myself.
I hope it's the rest of the video.
All he's done is say it's absurd, it's
not, like,
ridiculous.
Hugely.
Like, okay.
I don't know.
there.
Well, and this
And
is the
meanwhile,
thing,
and our
right? So,
commentary has been completely substantive about concepts and the words we use and all that stuff.
and so this will be the perfect clip to say MauLer is vain, right? But some people aren't equipped to have conversations like this because they'll be like, define the terms. We already all know the terms. It's like, no. The fact that you've assumed that means this is
If
going to be a very
anything-
difficult conversation.
It's like, then it will be easy for you to just take the 10 seconds and tell us just to make sure.
And like, just the concept, if you've already buried yourself in the idea that there's just no chance that what me and Rags have said is even slightly reasonable, then what the hell are we supposed to do with you? It's like, oh, great, thanks. Like, you won't even hear us out, cool. And you can clearly tell he hasn't bothered to understand how I actually explain it. The Phoenix guy has. That's why he wants to bring this up, because he's like, I find it interesting, I'd like you to respond to it. He's like, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's just so dumb. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, like, come on.
Nailed it.
That's getting the information from because I'm wearing headphones.
Maybe your headphones are loud.
Are your headphones really loud?
You can't do this yourself?
All right, someone say something.
Hello?
Yeah, I didn't do it that time.
Yeah, I think your headphones are just really loud.
No, it's just your opinion.
This is why I always have my headphones like turned down very.
Yeah, that guy knows what's
That,
up.
and I also get
Weird.
sensory
Yeah.
overload.
Okay.
Mediocrity.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I thought my mic is
Yeah.
being very sensitive. I don't know. Anyway, I honestly think that.
But, okay. You asked what makes Ruby garbage, and it's my opinion on what I value. There are people.
Your
once you have a
opinion-
standard for what you
Value
find
judgment's a different thing.
Your opinion on what you
have a
value.
standard for value, you can judge things objectively.
Crazy, isn't it?
You know, this is the thing. For all we know, he has like an amazing breakdown of Ruby or whatever the hell it is, and he defines in the video that he's only going from what he likes or something. I remember this, like people said about Just Right's Hobbit videos, right? Like he does a really great breakdown, but then he will say about his own work, it's all subjective, and it's like, no.
Like, why would you devalue your stuff so much by saying that?
Like, you can tell by what someone is saying whether or not it's subjective.
But the other issue we've just hit is now define value, and is it you literally talking about what you personally like? That's what value means to you. Then yeah, that's not what we're talking about when we say objective. And it's like you go around in circles with all these words, and you have to define all of them and prevent them from being like escape hatches sort of thing for the conversation. It's like value is subjective by. And you're like, no, come back, come back. We're not talking about that.
Tons of people, I think one of them is in this very call, that like Ruby a lot, and it's good to them.
You're allowed to like shit. It's not like we have to
Yeah.
stop people from
fine.
doing that.
You're allowed to value different things. So, like, say if a show is good at one thing and bad at another thing, maybe even objectively, one person might like the fact that show because they value the one thing, might dislike it because they value the other one.
How about you take your
Like,
Nazi
say,
talk?
If you value visuals, you might really like Game of Thrones season 8 because it looks glorious. Okay. I'm judging this. Okay, shadows aside.
Shadows aside. Boost that brightness, and it looks gorgeous.
On clips I've seen of your video, because I've not actually watched it, I'm just like judging this on the clips of your video.
Oh, I'm
Well,
worried.
is
There's
choreography part of the visuals?
There's a few shots in the episode that are absolutely gorgeous, and I would have posters of them made if I could.
Well, that's the thing. There's shots
can't.
where it's like just casually, oh, that's a fake city in the background that doesn't really exist, like it's there.
Would you
Well-
consider cinematography as visuals?
Yes.
Well, I just ask what you mean by visuals, I guess, then. It's like anything you can see. It's like, well, I guess yes. Then again, if
No,
you're talking about
just-
cinematography, you usually talk about composition, right?
I guess.
I'd say
Or
so.
framing,
That's still
that sort of
visual.
thing. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting to sort of see how you would separate or combine the terms, or subset them, I guess.
Because we value different things.
We sure do.
Yes.
You see, I think
So-
he brought up because he brought up the everything is subjective argument. Like they hate that argument, but I think you're coming at it from a
Because
Oh shit, I have to turn him down again.
Look where you paused it. Jesus.
What is
it's
what is
Ah,
with the
true.
stuff?
Everything is subjective.
Okay.
Thing going back to Ruby and got an objective problem, the fact that aura is described in different ways that are mutually exclusive. That is a
And that's-
quantitative statement. You can say that like in volume 2 aura was passive, in volume 4 or 5 onward it's active. That's a quantitative
Yeah.
statement, and if you think that's a problem, then
It's not
that's a
quantitative.
qualitative statement.
Yeah, okay, we have to ignore what that guy just said.
Yeah. Yeah,
not-
he
I
started.
don't think
He
he knows
started
what
off
those words mean.
he started off strong, but then he's like, no, bad example.
So if we translate this to media, which I'm not even sure that we should be doing, I imagine Theo is desperate to be able to put us back on track with this because he probably knows more about this. But just for the particular terms, I mean, well, okay, we can bring Theo in. Just give me a sec. I just wanted to say that, like, so quantitative. That's the word, yeah. Like,
That's one of them.
the amount of plot holes there are and the degree to which they affect progress. These are things that like can
Yes.
be assessed. I don't know if I'd go as far as saying numerically, but we
What-
can actually
what I would say-
identify ones and zeros to a degree.
Well, I think you could count the plot holes quantitatively.
Certainly.
The degree would be qualitatively.
Yeah. So no, the degree
I don't
is
know.
a value. The degree, like 5 out of 10, that's a value.
So
That's
like
quantitative.
when we say
I would
something
say
like
in the sense of like an example would be how much more. If there's not a specific amount, but you know that it's more.
well, what I was going to reference is like, so like let's just say a shoe is in the background, it turns upside down between shots. Like, so that's pretty much on the lowest end of the fucking scale. It doesn't matter in any way, shape, or form. But then you have the stuff that literally allowing the biggest payoff to happen involves massive plot holes to be ignored. Like those are at the top of the scale. And again, I'm not trying to say that we have some kind of written document to explain how to categorize these things, but we do tend to operate as if that is the case, and we have a shared understanding of the difference. Most reasonable people do accept that the shoe that turned around is not as severe as Captain Marvel destroying everything in Endgame.
The shoe that turned around?
I'm making that up. The idea is that nobody out there says, well, no,
The
those
Starbucks
two are...
cup.
Yeah, that's another one. Like, nobody's arguing that the Starbucks cup is as serious an issue as Daenerys murdering thousands of innocent children.
Yeah.
So the implication being that there is a system by which we're scaling them.
To be fair, I'm sure there is the one person.
Barring those outliers.
Well, yeah, right. There will be the one guy who's like, no, the shoe, fuck. The thing is, though, I'm curious if Theo would say that these are like things that we should even be using with what we're talking about. I don't know.
I mean, I would say that the key to getting their foot in the door is to just acknowledge they exist.
Right. Because you find a
And
lot of
once you
critics will say
acknowledge
that.
it-
They'll say that you can say objectively that things are things. And
That's
that
true.
a plot hole is a plot hole. Like, there's no... Like, no, it's subjectively a plot hole or something like that. I don't know how
Yes,
far these guys
you would
go
use
with
the
it.
example of saying, like, let's say that in The Force Awakens, they say that Poe blew up Starkiller Base, and then they said in the next movie, Poe did not blow up Starkiller Base. And these were both authoritative, like, narrative sources saying that.
Well, like in
Well,
the
you
that
just
would
say
be
the
the
same
plot hole.
person saying it. You'd be like,
Well, no, but that's
you have an
possible.
example of that, right?
Yeah,
The
people,
hyperspace thing.
people can say two contradictory things, but them saying it isn't the plot hole.
Right, well, you could have
Them
an
believing
explanation
it
of that.
Wait, no, them.
They could believe each.
They could
at
also
different
believe it and
times.
still... They could be brainwashed. The idea is that if with all the information you have at hand, that there are certain... The example being that
Yeah, that's why. That's why I specified.
Finn is shocked that they chase them through hyperspace, and he's like, that's impossible. And then in the next scene, he's like, oh shit, we can destroy the breaker for the hyperdrive because I know I used to work there. It's like, these pieces of information seem to contradict each other.
Finn is just dumb.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah,
you could actually...
you would have to
retcon it.
stretch it to its most absurd degree to try and say that's not a
Well,
plot
and we
hole.
have examples of that. When we say Hux should have shot the Raddus, we have people saying, yeah, but Hux is an idiot.
Arrogant.
Hux is raging. Hux is... You have to make emotional arguments because it doesn't make sense.
This is a fanatical Star Wars Disney universe.
Right. And that's... Yeah, that's the thing.
I've seen that now. It was funny.
Anyway, let's let these people continue.
Qualitative statement, and if you think that's a problem, then that's a qualitative statement. That's a
Yes.
qualitative statement based on a quantitative fact. Now, for like,
But
for
that's
someone
still
who doesn't like
something you
care-
value.
Yeah, for someone who doesn't
Yeah.
care about retcons,
You
like,
can value it. That doesn't
can
mean
kinda
that
take
it's
it or leave it.
subjective just because you value it.
The fact
Like,
that you
if you
value,
value
it is
it-
subjective.
If anything, the value is the standard that you're using. And as long as you're being consistent with that standard, it can be used pretty much identically to objectivity.
I feel like the conversation is going to get even more muddled by throwing in the qualitative and quantitative in with
Yeah, I would-
subjective,
I would-
objective,
yeah.
value.
I wouldn't worry about
And
it too much,
judgment.
yeah.
They don't mean the things that he thinks they mean. Can we?
Well,
just
this is the thing,
ignore
we've got
him
so-
saying it?
You have 5 people in this call and 3 people in their conversation, and this many key terms all going around without clear definitions. It's like this is just a recipe for not understanding each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think
yeah, it was
this is
it's
where
better
the
now than
discrepancy
it wasn't
comes
going
from.
to.
Is that
Okay.
that might be the debate you two need to have, because it might be the argument of, well, you care about, you or him care about different things in that regard, but I don't think
sort
he's
of, but that's
wrong
not really what the
in
argument's
It's
based
never been
off
about
of.
me caring about it because I didn't care about the plot holes in Endgame when I was watching it. I've used different arguments for this before. I'm just as flawed as anyone is when it comes to not noticing that. I didn't notice a lot of what was wrong with TLJ my first time around. I noticed the big stuff. The first thing I wanted to talk to people about was Holdo's plan. I was like, this is like, it was glaring to me. And simultaneously, it's the one that Just Right said is most people won't notice. And I was just like, but no one won't notice the whole film. Like several scenes.
People just won't notice the film.
an objective standpoint, because objective
No.
means based on fact, if I believe correctly.
No, it doesn't mean
We're-
based
we're
on
having-
facts.
Okay, hold on.
Well, I guess it depends on how you would.
He thinks The Last Jedi.
I was going to say it's
say
complicated. The main qualifier is just irrelevant of how you feel or personal bias.
Yeah, not relying on opinion is all it is.
To be fair, it's almost impossible to say something irrelevant of personal bias.
Why?
No, 2 + 2 is 4.
No, just why? Okay, explain.
Well, because everything you are like biased by nature in everything that you say. You may think that something is objective, but in everything that you've learned and everything that's gone in, everything that's gone into your brain.
So for example, there is a mouse on my desk. Mouse meaning a PC.
Peripheral, yeah.
Peripheral, yeah. So what about that statement was subjective?
I can't be bothered to go further with this line of thinking.
It's because it's bullshit. I love you, Jay.
I can say that biases absolutely color a great deal of basically all that we think about. The degree to which they do, and our ability to remove bias through the use of independent verification, though, can solve this issue very, very well.
And you'll find it happens all the time. You'll have
biases can create literal false memories.
Yes. I was going to say, like, you'll have this will happen all the time. You'll be able to catch yourself. Like, for example, someone just goes, "Oh my god, fucking that movie was terrible," and someone else is like, "Why?" And you go, "Fucking, I don't know, Justin Timberlake was in it, and he was so bad." And you're like, "Was he that bad? I didn't think he was that bad." And you eventually, like, the person makes so many arguments to you, and you eventually realize, like, "Oh, I just hate Justin Timberlake. Fuck." Okay.
You see this? I've seen this about Spider-Verse. People saying it was bad because it was an SJW movie because Miles is a black replacement for a white character.
Right. This is yeah, we're not a fan of that. we get frustrated with that.
I don't care about no bullshits arguments.
And yeah, this is the thing. Like, identifying your biases is great.
Not him. His comment section.
Finding out like things you have issues with can really help with how you'll absorb stuff in future, because you'll be like, oh, I have to keep an eye on myself for, like, I really have an issue with this person, I don't even know why, or this piece of media, or this place, or this object, you know, it just happens. But then
race,
when you get down to really simple statements, like the one I just gave you, like, I don't know, I am currently in a house, it's like, what's the bias there? And you'd have to start arguing really philosophical stuff, like, your concept of what a house is subjective. You're like, oh, okay.
I just hope that these discussions don't end at hard solipsism, and then we have a side 10 Brugacade.
Oh my god!
Catastrophe at our.
It's catastrophe, idiot.
You're like brain in the vat stuff.
Catastrophe. Anyway, going on.
Bad movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he spent 11 hours talking about it. He must think it's bad. Okay. A purely objective.
I could talk about things I love for 11 hours.
Yeah, exactly. I don't follow that logic. I get what you're trying to.
Fucking try and stop me from talking about Buffy if you've watched it yourself. I'll ask you like every question under the sun.
Active, inarguable fact. That one shot in that movie was in focus, right? And being in focus is a good thing. Therefore, the movie is good.
Oh my god, no.
No, that's
very interesting, since I mainly talk about writing, but okay.
Yeah, if anything, that's just a quality statement about a certain segment of the movie.
It's the same nitpick argument. Oh, he doesn't like the red lights, therefore the movie's bad.
If he's... I think he's trying to present me a problem without my own logic, but I'd just be like, but if you accept my own logic, then you would have to agree that I'm segmenting it and almost grading the portions. And so if visuals come up with an A, but writing comes up with an F, that doesn't equalize to an A.
Well, that's why instantly all of us were like, no.
Well, yeah, we were all frustrated because it's like, this is fucking garbage arguments.
It's the same thing you hear all the damn time with the whole thing. It's like, oh, there was a nitpick there for the whole movie's bad. I'm so tired.
And
his deep and thorough critique has both the big things and the little things.
It's like, after my Another Life video, people genuinely told me that I was nitpicking after I said that the character's motivations literally made no sense. The plot contradicted itself, like the core premise of one episode contradicted the core premises of another one.
Pretty.
Also, the series has like sexual assault apologetics in it without like really realizing it. And then people go, "Oh, you're nitpicking," and I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, I don't care about those things." I'm like, cool.
That's another word I would ask someone to identify, and what I've found more commonly than ever, nitpick means invalid criticism. It's like, what? Why do we have a word for that? It's just invalid.
Criticisms they don't care about as well.
Well, then you
It's
just
what I
ask him,
mean.
all right, what word would you like to use to define valid criticisms that are relatively very small
Minor,
or
yeah.
potentially very minor? Because if we can't use nitpick, what would you like to use as a substitute?
Yeah, I don't
forward?
want to concede nitpick ground to automatically invalid. I was like, fuck that. The whole point of nitpick.
Well, yeah, that's just designed to make them go like, well.
Oh yeah, of course. It's the same with opinion, right? It's just like, yeah. I hope
like-
you're noticing, audience, that the main issue me and Rags seem to have with all of this is just getting them to define their fucking terms.
Yeah, because people don't think about it. They just don't.
Oh.
They just don't think about this stuff. They just kind of accept it, and it's not something that is brought up in typical conversation. Like, tell people color doesn't exist, and they'll be like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, and I
It's
think
just
we
not
also
something
expect
that
them.
people think about.
I think they also need to at least watch the fucking videos first.
Well,
That would be cool.
That's true.
he's judging my Twitter personality. That's what he said.
Well, no, he can't watch him because he described earlier on Twitter that your longness is like an inherent defense mechanism, essentially.
I'm picturing like a David Attenborough documentary now. He uses longness to defend himself.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, you can picture that, right?
David Attenborough saying
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Like narrating about how it uses length defense.
The MauLer uses its own length to defend itself against potential predators.
Here we see a natural MauLer in its environment, preying upon the subjective creatures of the world.
You see,
Right?
it's time to.
I've made an objective,
When the new Star
factually
Wars movie
accurate
is released, it is time to feed.
argument for why the movie is good.
That's a fair argument.
No, there was
No,
no
it's
argument
not.
in that. There was not an argument in that.
So, movie
the
good
fact that
because
it's-
shot was in focus.
The fact that it was in focus is good, and yes, that's subjective essentially.
yes, if we use clarity as a standard or as a qualitative measurement, then he's like, all right, using that as the measurement, as using clarity as the desired result, we can then measure the quality of that aforementioned, fuzziness, that blurriness. If that's how you want to define it. If.
You would actually argue that's a fair argument, but it is lacking supplementary information that is based upon.
But
one
what
data
what
point
what does he value as supplementary?
Why don't you watch
So-
this shit? And
You would know if you watched.
I was going to say, it's
Exactly.
very straightforward. So, what are visuals doing? It's like, well, they're representing the things that are in the story. It's like, okay, what's the sound doing? It's like, it was giving sound to the things in the story. It's like, What are the actors doing? Well, they're representing the characters in the story. Like, seems like every single thing is working to accentuate the script. Almost like the story of this story is the core part, is the entirety for everything else existing. Everything else is just trying to make the script work, or at least project it. Because we don't watch films to have some guy in a chair read them to us. It's like we have all these other things to show them. And so if you have incredibly good acting, like fucking Mark Hamill doing it, some really great shot composition, great CGI, a whole bunch of amazing songs in the soundtrack from Mr. Williams himself. It's like, oh, so the film can't be bad if it has all of those nailed right. Like, I suppose, depending on exactly how we would break down what it is to be a film, a good film, a bad film, whatever, but if I'm specifically talking about the writing, which I have been trying to be specific about in future from now on so there's no confusion, I think the most important thing about a story is the writing rather than the jangly keys. That's just IMO. So hopefully that clears that up. I don't know. Besides, there's plenty of arguments to be made about the acting, the sequel trilogy. It's not like Mark Hamill's the only one we consider. A lot of people consider Daisy Ridley to be terrible. Kylo Ren is like one note to a degree. Got Holdo, which was frustrating. There's a lot of like conversation, and then Glib, as well as other people, would like to argue that the film is actually poorly shot / or cinematography, so you'd have to hear out those arguments too. And then repurposing music. Is it something we should celebrate when they literally just repeat music from the older films? Like, I don't know. All of these are very interesting conversations, wouldn't you agree?
No.
Oh, okay.
I want to talk about Minecraft TIE Fighters.
No.
He's
Okay, I'm
making
speaking on
he's
behalf of
saying
him. I
these
don't
are the
want to be.
factual.
I don't want to be speaking.
Yeah,
on behalf.
okay.
I don't think it's fair.
All right,
I honestly,
yeah.
Save it for your debates. I honestly think it'd be more interesting.
No,
to
yeah,
have
okay.
the debate with it.
The reason I don't want to debate him is because he is setting the terms of what it means to be right.
Whoa.
Motherfucker, you can set terms all you want. If you want to define
Wait, what?
words the way you want.
What did he say? I had to step up.
He said that the reason he doesn't want to debate me is because I will set the terms on what it means to be right.
What?
What the fuck? Hang on, can we
Well,
hear the
then
rest of what
why
he has to
do you-
say about that?
All right, let's roll it back for
Before we-
Rags as well.
He
Then.
set the terms on what it means to be right.
No, yeah, okay.
The debate with it.
The reason I don't want to debate him is because he is
You get
setting the
stomped.
terms of what it means to be right.
Yeah, that's
Like,
called a debate.
I was gonna say that's
we-
not even outside of
That
normal.
That's like all debates. The other person wants to set the terms on what's correct.
If I make a claim about what it would mean to be the winner of the debate and he disagreed with it, then we would have to work on that first. That's fine.
And I would say, well, then fuck it, then let's just talk.
But this is bizarre. This feels like the most squirmiest way to be like, I don't want to debate. Leave me alone. The fuck does this even mean?
The objective opinion is his one, and
What the fuck?
What? Where'd you get that?
The
Oh, yeah,
objective.
from the
He's
videos
like
you
Quinton
haven't watched?
Reviews, where he's like Rags and MauLer think their opinions are objective and everyone else is subjective. It's like, did you even listen to anything we say?
No.
Stop acting like you
He
are
said so.
warriors.
It feels like they deliberately ignore us and just assume what we're saying.
Hmm.
Come on, work a little bit harder.
objective opinion is his one, and he is going in so that anyone trying to argue against him is automatically wrong.
Not even true. There's plenty of people
If
have
you believe
debated where I've
true at all.
conceded
If
points.
you believe that you are right, then anyone going against you is going to be wrong automatically based on that assumption that you
Yeah.
are
Yes,
right.
because that's why we think what we do, because we
Yes.
think it's right and the alternatives are wrong.
The
That's
hugely
why we
controversial
accept
debate
the
that we
propositions
we
do.
all enter a
If you
debate thinking we're
believe
right.
If you believe one position in a dichotomy, then you believe that the people who believe the other position are wrong. That's how that works.
Yes, that's the unspoken. Yes, it's how
Well,
duh.
At the beginning of every debate, if you were to ask both participants, do you think that your perspective is the correct one? And they said no, I'd be like, what?
Well, then fuck off.
Why are you even here? What's the point?
Automatically wrong. He's like, my opinion. He uses the term like the robot, correct? Like if a
Okay,
robot
that's-
reviewed this,
You
it
only
would
mentioned
give
that
it-
like
that's
how many times have you actually
Okay.
talked about the robot?
Once
Like
with the Just
twice?
Right, and every
Once.
single time I've talked about it since,
Just
it's
the
been
once?
correcting people because they, for some reason, people like Fat Man Falling. I'm gonna guess right now he's gonna assume. So we'll just go over it quickly. So I believe in the Just Right debate, he was talking about how you can't make objective statements as a human because you're a human, and then I was like, so let's just theoretically invent a robot incapable of making biased statements. Because it's just mechanical and it only runs on the basis of judging things as logical errors.
Yes, because objectivity exists outside minds being able to come.
Because like the premise being that I can identify a logical error, but I only consider it a problem from a subjective bias or something. And it's like, well, what would it mean to be lacking a subjective bias? Like if you would just steal, I guess, you didn't actually have any kind of investment in anything emotional. So and you just run the script through the little robot, and it poops out a bunch of results. It's like Holdo plan. There's a failure for her to describe the plan to Poe in this section, this section, this section. That would have, I don't know how the fuck this robot would work. The point was that if the robot presented these problems to not Joseph Anderson, Just Right. It's hard to keep track of all these things. He would not be able to respond. Robot, you're biased. You feel these are problems when they're not problems or something. You'd just be like, no, I'm just doing what the program ran. I've got no.
Yeah, I'm
I got
just
no
judging
investment
things
here.
based off of the criteria that you've given me. That's all I'm doing.
And I was trying to argue that we can do that. We can operate like that. Similarly to how I said, mouse on my desk. There's nothing there that. There's no process that required feeling. So we can be because we're all conduits, right? I've been trying to bring that word in as well. It's an attempt to maybe bridge the gap with some people. We can only do what we can do. We try our best. So if we all watch the film, the five of us, then you fast forward 1 week, and then we're all supposed to describe how the film went down in detail from start to finish. All five of us are going to have different accounts. That's just this. We're doing the best we can, but we're human. We are flawed. We're going to remember things wrong. And if you have a sixth guy who has access to the file, and is told that the more accurate he is, the more money he gets, something, then yeah, he's probably just going to play it, hear a line, pause, read the line, play it, and he's probably going to have the best results. And so I try and advocate that to get the best work when analyzing media is to basically not only redraft your own work several times, but to, if it's a movie, rewatch it several times, watch what it's a part of as a series, look into other people's perspectives to really see if you've missed anything. Because sometimes you can watch a film 7 times and still miss something important. That rant over? I don't know.
Yeah.
We all do the best we can. Some of us are... This is another thing I get caught up on that people hated. I was in a stream with Wolf. I think it was prior or post the Just Right thing, where I said that me and Wolf had, like, you could call it a gift or an ability or something else to just be able to break down media faster and more effective than many people can. And they were like, wow, how fucking high do you think of yourself? It's like, okay. So if we're to accept that there is ability, that critical analysis is a skill, and it's something you can learn and become better at, then is it controversial to say that someone could be better at it than someone else? Like,
oh yeah, it's just super simple. Are some people better at film analysis than others? Is like, you would have to be insane to say no, everyone is equally good at analyzing.
well, they would, because everything's subjective when it comes to that, right?
Well, if anything, that just then that's like cutting off their nose to spite their face, because that devalues every single thing that they do.
True.
And then,
they would
then
probably say
point,
that we're all just as valuable. Everybody saying anything about a movie is just as valuable. It would be hard to explain then why it is that some people are more popular than others. Is it literally just based on the way they look, or something else?
Yeah, that would be insane. That's almost so insane I'd have to stop and think about it and be like, wow, how do you even tackle something so insane? That literally everybody has the exact same quality of that in the qualities analysis.
It's a sad reality, right? Because Theo just mentioned it in chat, like, what right do I have to critique a subject if I'm not fluent in its mechanism? So if someone was talking about how amazing their car was, and we were looking in like the actual pieces of it and everything, and I'm just standing there knowing nothing about cars, and I go, no, I think it's a shit car.
Yeah, mechanic's a great example.
And you're like, why do you think it's a shit car? And I go, I don't know, it's ugly. Like, why is it ugly? And you're like, oh, well, because, I don't know, some of these pipes look wrong. I don't like them. If someone said, yeah, MauLer, your opinion is like barely relevant, like I don't give a fuck, I can't then go like, oh, what? It's fucked up, dude. And then someone might be like, yeah, but art isn't a car. And I'd be like, well, for one, it can be, very much so. You can have artists work really fucking hard on cars. Secondly, well, fucking all design when it comes to technology is an art. Like, it's absolutely like man using its understanding of technology to minimize the amount of resources required to make it while also maximizing its efficiency as technology, right? That's like the... How could you not call that artistic? But more to the point, scripting,
I'd say that's
film
utilitarian.
writing.
I'd say that's the opposite of artistic.
Is it?
Well, yeah, because if you're going for, its efficiency, and I don't think that's artistic. It has to do with its utility.
But like, so let's say you create something that's mind-blowing in terms of a breakthrough, in terms of, I don't know, a phone or car or whatever. I can like behold it in awe. I'm like, that's incredible. And this is going to push us into the definition of art, so I kind of want to stay away from it because that's going to be a rabbit hole too.
That's fine.
Let's just move to the point where I was trying to make, which was, you have people who know how scripts work. Maybe they write them for a living, or they've been watching a bazillion films, and then you have a guy who's never seen one before. It's like, everyone's opinion is valid. It's like, yeah, not really the point.
Like, what do you mean valid? That's
Yeah.
like, when you say that, what do you mean by everyone, like, an invalid opinion? Well, I mean, validity in terms of logical structure does have a definition.
Well, see, that's another word I would just ask for their definition of valid.
Validity is the...
Yeah, Jay is posting pictures of very ugly cars.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
It's the same ugly car. I don't know who designed it, but they need to not.
I just like that that's still the go-to car. It's like, do you know any ugly cars? Yes, that Fiat one.
Yeah, it's the double chin car.
The double chin car.
Are you saying that's the Fat Man car?
Yes, I'm saying that car gets to vote twice.
That's the MauLer fields of cars.
MauLer fields of cars.
That bad boy's got a chessboard on its dashboard.
The fact that we've said it's the Fiat double chin car and it's the ugly car, people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think they actually do, typically. So See, though, I think that we've drilled out way more interesting conversations out of his
No, we kill
patented
discussion.
denial.
People are saying, "Can we see Google Fiat double chin car?" I've checked.
I did put it on
thumbs
screen
up.
just now.
It is a monstrosity of metal and plastic and glass.
I remember the first time I saw that when I was a child, thinking, "What the fuck? Like, what? What is wrong with that car?"
It has problems.
Not only that,
Doesn't wanna talk about
it was a bright orange one as well.
So that nobody misses it.
It's like, oh, look at my shit car.
My car is amazing.
You're it, Alec.
It tastes like gasoline.
Gasoline?
Gasoline.
Yeah.
I'd like the
We're gonna
question
think
what
of
that
it
is
on an
comprised of. So someone mentioned that apparently Eric's been talking about me on Twitter, and I was just having a look.
Of course he
What's his
has.
name?
I can see keywords MauLer showing up. It's about my video because I released. Is it about how long it is?
The Game of Thrones one. Long Man Bad.
Oh, he said. I got here. Are you implying MauLer's critiques are useful to writers? Because lol. Okay.
Feel the ridicule, baby.
As a writer myself, I would say I find your critiques useful, MauLer.
I would absolutely say that if somebody wants to have a story that's consistent, that they could get great value from watching your content. Even if it's nothing but somebody highlighting bad examples, then that could give value to people because they'll know what to kind of look for as bad examples.
Fucking
Even if they don't say why, if it's just nothing but this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, they're like, oh yeah, those are bad.
Oh wait, is Eric?
I should avoid
now?
those.
Eric is a she now. Well, sorry, Patricia is a she now, as far as I can tell.
I'm still calling him Eric because
I mean, I don't know. I don't know the specifics. I don't know if he's fucking with me. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't follow Eric extensively, so I don't know if it's like a thing where they're just fucking around with names on Twitter, or if it's an actual full-on real thing. I don't know.
Eric, Patricia, I'll call you whatever you want.
I won't.
So he
I
posted.
will not.
She posted whatever. There's a post of my my thumbnail.
That makes it easier. Way easier.
And Patricia has said, this is a visual representation of what it's like to watch MauLer's content, and it's the screenshot I've got of Daenerys looking
It's
gaunt.
a picture of himself.
And someone responded, "Is MauLer that bad?" And then Patricia said, "Not that bad, just mediocre and pretentious." That's interesting. Do you mean that objectively?
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And then they said, well, I guess I can just not only show this on stream, but sorry, we'll come back to Fat Man. We're dealing with another one of my critics. You got
Are you implying something? Yo, this is just what Fat Man was doing. Are you saying this?
Oh wait. Click that and then go to the top. I meant to link you. So
my argument is saying LOL.
if you scroll to the top, I read out the part where we're down to I don't know. I just watched 3 of his videos and they were quite decent. Please elaborate. And then Patricia says, his criticism is thorough but surface level. All he does. Wait.
What? Hang on.
All he does it all under the pretense of striving for objective criticism in art, which can't exist. Okay, but even if that's wrong, what about what I say? Like that's the if that's the conclusion. What about everything else I said? Like I talk about themes. Is that a subtext? Are we not allowed? I thought those were what he considers beyond. She considers beyond surface level. I used to loathe his stance, but after a while, I just realized he meant criticism based on objective evidence instead of a judgment of truth about a piece of media. No, that's him moving the goal. Sorry, let me read that again. After a while, I realized he meant criticism based on objective evidence instead of a judgment of truth about a piece of media. I'm not sure I do agree with that.
Well, it's objective by a standard.
Judgment of truth about a piece of media. Is that something I do? I'm trying to think about the words.
Judgment of truth. I imagine that what he's trying to say here is that it corresponds to what's really happening in the media.
But he's saying that I don't say that. That's something I do say though?
He meant
instead of.
I used to loathe it, but I realized he meant criticism based on objective evidence instead of a judgment of truth about a piece of media. That's all. That sounds contradictory to me.
Yeah, I'd have to ask for elaboration on that. No, that's him moving the goalposts. Everyone gives criticism based on object. No, they don't. I don't even agree with that. Like, that's not even something I do, necessarily. Everybody can give criticism based on how they feel or objective evidence. You can do both. I can, like I said, I can dislike Justin Timberlake, for example, and then watch a movie where he's the protagonist and be like, nah, I don't like it because I find him annoying. That's not objective. He's not objectively annoying.
It's objective that he's in it.
True, but
yeah, that's the thing.
Is
Is like
that it?
everything's subjective. Is Daisy Ridley an actor in the Four Seasons?
in fact, you can make as many objective observations about a piece as you like, but as soon as you make a judgment of quality, you've entered the realm of subjectivity. And then they said, not necessarily. Some criticisms are able to be qualified solely by subjective measures. If a viewer engages a scene outside of its content that isn't meant by the author, it's still a valid subjective take that's useful for other viewers, just not for the author. I mean, it might be useful for the author, right? E.g., someone could argue for a hypothetical non-intended theme over any kind of writing, but if the evidence taken for that interpretation goes contrary to the text, then it's simply arguing for your own perspective, starting out a conclusion instead of getting to it. Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's just that an author could be interested by it. Like, if you wrote a story that had no theme and then someone drew one out of it, you might be like, oh, that's cool. To judge something objectively would be similar to compiling a hypothesis. It's derived from the object and then changes over contrary evidence. That's why there could be several objective takes made out of different amounts of information and ambiguity within the text. The point of striving for objectivism, although one could never achieve it in the theory, is to help the author in the craft of the media. Meanwhile, the point of subjective criticism is to help different kinds of viewers to stipulate or understand their own engagement of the text. I kind of like that, overall. I think it's a decent viewpoint on the whole thing. And then that's where he says, are you implying that MauLer's critiques are useful to writers because lol? I mean, how do I prove that that would be the case? Would I just have to find writers that find my stuff useful? Is that all I need to do? Or would they not be considered
pretty
writers?
Solid supporting evidence.
Pretty much, yeah. You probably only need one.
Because that's literally the thing that I guess he's saying isn't true.
But what would Taxon say in response? Like, they're not real writers.
Yeah.
Or what they're finding useful isn't what they think is useful.
I guess he would try to say it does more harm than good, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't believe that. Do tell.
From what I can tell from watching his videos and talking to him personally, MauLer is striving for some kind of prescriptive version of theory in order to aid in communication about what it means for something to be good, but theory already does this descriptively. I don't know if I want to read all of this.
I don't either.
Keep on keeping on, Taxon. Me and Rags enthusiastically await your video on him.
We will enjoy our success and our large communities and our happiness and joy, and we will enjoy the discussions that we have.
Man, no one ever makes
you don't
videos
don't
about
worry,
me.
you don't have to come to our birthday party.
And yeah, I'm happy to hear you want to complete the trifecta of covering Wolf, myself, and now Rags. To complete it, we'll have a wonderful party, enjoying what's going to be a very generous take on whatever Rags feels about certain positions. I already know you consider him a complete racist, so it's a good start.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be extremely accurate to the to what I'm actually thinking.
When you say complete racist, do you mean like a racist who's found themselves and is comfortable with who they are?
Well,
also, please wear clothes.
Oh god.
You can't make that kind of restriction upon him.
Those are female nipples now, so YouTube has to censor it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
probably is, actually. Wait, how does that work? If you identify as female and take your shirt off on YouTube, is that counted as, like, bannable nudity? How does that work?
Also, if YouTube doesn't censor that, are they being transphobic?
Damn.
It's almost
this
like
must have come up.
Shit's fucked up.
We can't be the first people to come across this as an issue, right?
Yeah, what if I take a woman's breast?
We cannot be the first person to come across trans female nipples.
Well, if you take a naked dude, right, and then you Photoshop off his nipples and then replace those onto the nipples of breasts on a woman, is that still pornography? Is it still? I mean, that doesn't break.
Photoshopped a man's nipples
onto a woman's nipples, so it's not female nipples.
Yeah,
technically.
You imagine being like, you know, you've got a normal, like your 9 till 5 is moderate in Twitch or something, and you have a family, and then someone's like asking you that question, you're like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. They don't tell me these things. Like,
It's almost like these types of politics just slow everything down.
Well, it's almost like deciding that male nipples are okay and female nipples aren't is dumb as shit.
Well, it's probably all comes back to the boob, right? That's what it all comes back to.
Yes, breasts.
People-
breasts are
it's like-
sexual, but a man's chest isn't.
People want to say that boobs are like dirty and that you're not allowed to see them. And what's the center of the boob? The nipple. Therefore, it's the nipple that's wrong. But a nipple is just a
It's
nipple.
the female. It's the female nipple.
If anyone wants to quote me on a nipple is just a nipple, that's okay.
It's just a nipple. That's just call that this stream. It's just episode 51. It's just a nipple.
Molly, you have to do that now.
Do what?
Change
Exactly.
the title to episode 51. It's just a nipple.
I can't do that.
You can.
You literally
I know
can.
how
It's your
YouTube-
channel. You can
I
edit
know-
the
I
title.
I know how
physically
the live
can't.
dashboard
I made a
works.
deal with the devil. That's the one thing he said I couldn't change
Satan
the
would want
title
that.
of
This is what
episode
Satan
51.
would want.
Mueller is
Satan
trying
would
to
want
weasel his
the
way out of
nipple.
it, chat.
Satan says free the nipple.
That's your
If Straw
opinion,
Poll-
Jay.
Straw Poll says to do it. Will you do it?
Like, I thought we
Are you
established
gonna
that straw
do
polls
what
are
the people
worthless.
want? Are you gonna follow
gonna
your
deny the
audience?
people-
All right, who am I
nipples.
supposed to listen to, Rags or Jay?
We're both
We're
saying
both saying the same thing. So
well, no, I'm
me.
gonna have a follow-up question. I don't want to ask both of you.
I'm curious what Jay will say.
All right, Jay, what specifically do you want the title to be?
EFAP number 51. I forgot what we were saying. Right, what were we saying?
That's the title.
Nipples.
I forgot specifically part.
I forgot what we were saying, Rags.
It was
What
a-
were we saying? I want to call it
That
that.
would be funny though.
That's the best title ever.
That's amazing.
Okay, I guess we're agreed. Thank you, Jay. All right.
We did it.
Supposed to be a self-check. He actually just went into that on the most recent EFAP, where the entire idea is you have to bounce your own subjective opinion off of that. Okay, I'm going to misrepresent it because he talked about how so many people took that the wrong way. He
I guess
specifically
it's
went into it.
kind of hard to take whatever way he's thinking makes him come out on top.
Honestly, I think you should watch the EFAP.
Yeah.
I mean, if the way you're twisting it, I'm
You
sure
awkwardly
you think that.
laugh after saying something is just true without evidence. I'm sure it makes it true.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of people did
He
not have a
totally
problem with
is.
the robot. Plenty of people did. Those people include Quentin Reviews, Just Right, Fat Man Falling, fucking...
What a good list of names.
Yeah, I know. These are all fantastic content creators.
Super
He goes
quality.
into a lot of detail about those things. Either that, or the people he's fighting against are just articulating their points wrong.
I wouldn't say that's
Oh.
impossible.
Yeah, because like in his
Not possible. Yeah, that's not
Fighting.
possible.
he got Patrick Willems. He got a Patrick Willems video where he wrote on a big old piece of cardboard, "This is a movie about space wizards for children," and he's like, "That's he's using a subjective viewpoint."
What?
No?
What?
No,
I-
that's not what you said.
No, so...
Confused.
Let me explain this to you in simple terms, Fat Man. So the idea is that if we no longer apply logic to a film if it has fantasy elements in it, as in things that aren't in real life, is a retarded statement. And then the follow-up being... Well, I mean, I should probably explain that. So we have plenty of fiction that we judge based on internal consistency versus reality, like comparisons to reality, because how the fuck are we supposed to write any stories about anything if we're bound to exactly what is capable of happening on Earth? I mean, it's not like we can't do it, it's just that it just limits media greatly. I was going to say massively, and then I was like, I better change it. So
That's
like,
true because some infinities can be greater than others.
and so you got people like Patrick Willems. It's like, oh yeah, there's no adult fantasy stories, there's no adult sci-fi stories, all of that's not a thing. So yeah, fuck it. And then also judging the fact that something is built for kids, therefore cannot be logically consistent, cannot be well written, cannot try
Or
and
shouldn't be?
strive for greatness. Like, not only wrong, because there's loads of children's content that's incredible for adults as well, but why the fuck is that true? Why is it that we should go, oh, it's for kids, fuck it?
There's a
It's
lot.
for kids.
I just noticed there's a lot of these assertions that they make that they just say this is just true, and
And
they
I-
just don't even begin to try and justify it.
And I made the
Yeah.
opposite assertion in my video, that if it comes to children's content, we should take more care, if anything.
Yeah.
Because you need to be careful with what you show children.
Like the female nipple.
So if Patrick Willems says we're not supposed to judge it, blah, 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 because it's for kids, I'm not saying, oh, that is a subjective take from Patrick Willems. I'm just like, no, it's just retarded. It's hypocritical, probably. Like, knew more about Patrick Willems' takes about media. I just need to find something he considers... Well, actually, no. You don't even have to go further than The Last Jedi. He's telling us we shouldn't be so angry about a film meant for children when he's talking about how it's the greatest thing ever, and he's like, ranting to his parents about how much he loves it. It's like, so, how come you're allowed to go one way with your emotions, but not the other?
Exactly.
Your rule seems unfair. Yeah, congratulations on not only letting us know that you don't really watch my content outside of the ones that you care about, which means the ones you saw, but you also didn't understand what I was saying. Excellent job.
And he doesn't sound like a very good person to analyze film.
You know, he's using a subjective viewpoint.
Nope.
Whereas his viewpoint of the things he prefers is the objective one. When it's like, he doesn't understand.
Feels like I'm listening to like someone who's drunk in a bar who watched part of my video, trying to explain it back to me. Like,
he was asleep while it played in the background, so he's trying to convey.
You say objective when it's art, man. You can't do that. How much I have likes for it is different than your likes.
What seems to be the officer problem?
Understand silly. His viewpoint is just as subjective. Like, the things he values, they don't have...
Stop throwing so many words around at once without defining them. What do I value is complex. You asking me what I like, what things I want to see in a thing and personally get satisfaction from? Is that what you're saying?
It's so easy. Just take any two statements. Maybe not any two statements, but let's just take these two ones. 2 + 2 is 4. That's the one statement.
No, it's not.
What?
It's not. I disagree.
It's not a statement?
No, it's not 4.
All right. So the second statement would be Audrey Hepburn is beautiful, right? And then say that both of those are completely equal in terms of their subjective value. And then you tell him that after what he said, and just watch it all crumble.
Oh, apparently Celtic is here.
Hello, Celtic.
Hey, what's going on,
Phoenix
dude?
Productions, how's it going?
I legitimately want to know what the black things behind you are.
Oh yeah, we
curious.
were debating.
We actually don't know what they are.
So on one hand, is this sound dampening in some way, or is it what I think it is, which is a sort of clothing shield type thing you put up when you want to like dress, and you've used it as a sort of way to cover up whatever's behind it.
A dressing screen thing. Okay.
Yeah, but like a black one. Because like I have something that looks similar to that, but it's orange, not black. So.
Really?
And yeah, if he wants to, he can jump on with us if he wants to. Let's just we only need another minute to finish this video, and I imagine the end.
Well, I've actually got it's a shame because I actually have to head out. So I'll have to call it there for my time, and I'll watch the rest of this later, and you'll have to fill me in on the black screen plastic conundrum.
We might have to push memes to the next episode because Rags is gonna have to go, but that's okay.
Yes, what? I do have to go. I
did not expect. Basically, I had a whole lineup for intro and then memes. I thought the intro was going to be an hour at most, and we're at 3.5. So,
Rags, I'm going to resent you eternally now.
I'll link you all the memes, Jade.
Well, I guess there's just nothing. I guess there's nothing I could do about that. So I'm not. You want
to just close out this video, though, Rags? Only a minute. Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
That's only going to take like 30 more minutes.
I know.
Real value. They only have value.
The person that I'm going with is notoriously impunctual. Is it unpunctual? Apunctual?
I think it's impunctual.
Impunctual? I think
personally, I would just go for unreliable.
they are late often. So I will text them and say I will be over there in just eventually. Eventually.
I'm sure we're nearing the end.
There's no real value. So
what the fuck does real mean? Like every time you bring in a new term, I like cringe internally. I'm like, no.
You want to watch this as a movie about space wizards for children, then Patrick Willems is being objective.
Did you miss the part where he used that as a counter argument to people labeling criticisms? So like he was saying...
he's saying it can't be... He's trying to shrug away criticism with what I would consider almost a non sequitur. by saying that it's a movie about space wizards meant for children, which is completely irrelevant unless any connection, because I don't see any connection that he was trying to make. It really is baffling. But yeah, he used that as a way to shrug off the things that we said. So for you to say that it's the same thing is interesting.
Because he's trying to argue that Patrick is explaining the way in which he views the film, and it's like he tried to use it as a counter to criticisms. It doesn't work as a counter, as Rags just said. It's a non sequitur. It's bizarre. You almost have to double take. You're like, what do you mean it's a space wizard film for children? What is this?
There's no connection between that being a rebuttal until you like make the connection, because it's just so out there.
Also, yeah, people are saying he wants on. I know. I just said earlier we're gonna finish the video. We're nearly done, and I'll bring him on. It's all right.
Yes, because I gotta leave in just a moment anyway.
He's moved his head slightly to the right. Can we see tissues on that chessboard? I want to change my vote up to 90%.
90%.
I think I'm with Jay on the 90.
And if you want to watch it as whatever MauLer likes, the consistency of writing.
Okay, so if that were true, how does he explain the fact that I adore Endgame and I concede that Endgame is poorly written?
Like what I would love for him to watch our discussion of Endgame and just watch his brain explode. Because we ripped into that movie and we love that movie all at the same time. I hate Endgame so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he also
it doesn't matter what he likes. We're not talking about likes.
The characters making bad decisions. Yeah.
I'm severe.
No, you're giving me plenty of time to find out what to eat for dinner, so I'm sitting here thinking.
Yeah, Daddy's just over here like, yeah, okay.
It's like just understand that what's happening here is there's someone who refuses to debate person B, trying to awkwardly and terribly explain to person A what person B thinks. It's crazy that this is what it's come to.
Actually, on that, we're running up against an hour, so we should probably start watching DBZ Abridged.
Oh yeah.
Make your damn MauLer video already. I want to see this debate, motherfucker.
So do I.
Go ahead and make the MauLer video.
Because I know that I would be fucking slaughtered. Because I can't even articulate my point to somebody else who casually in conversation isn't even MauLer. What hope do I possibly have against MauLer and Rags?
I don't know, man. If he comes in here and says, you guys are joking, right? What are we gonna do? We're fucked.
Like, no, I would just say, no, we're being very serious. Take everything that we say seriously.
Then you'll laugh
in
for like
terms
a good
of
6
objectivity
seconds.
and subjectivity.
We'll just slowly wait for him to make a point.
Yeah, it's like, make whatever point you'd like, and we'll analyze it one thing at a time. We can take it as seriously as you want. Because, like I said, like all the examples that we've been giving, they just break down at the most base level because he doesn't think about it.
Episode 4.
Yeah, and there we are. All right.
That's some fucking
okay. Celtic Phoenix, if you can hear me, go into the description of this stream, find a link to my Discord, get in there, and then at me in the Discord, and I will get you in this call. That's the easiest way I can make this work.